Have you ever felt like life has singled you out? Like the storms hit you harder? The battles come in relentless waves, and just as you start to rise, something pulls you back down. It's as if your name is written on an unseen list, one the enemy checks before deciding where to strike. And somehow, you're always near the top. This is not random, not bad luck, not simply life happening. There's a reason the devil targets you more than others. Once you see it, you'll never look at your struggles the same way. Because here's the truth, the greater your calling, the greater the resistance. The fight over your life began long before you were born. In the next few minutes, we'll peel back this mystery, revealing 6 reasons the enemy watches you so closely. Stay until the end, because the last one is the most overlooked by chosen ones. And when you see it, your understanding of your destiny will shift completely. If your spirit is stirring right now, if something inside you knows this is your word, like this video and subscribe. It keeps the truth flowing in a world desperate for light, and it strengthens you, week after week, as a chosen one. Now, let's begin this journey. Because once you see these reasons, you'll notice patterns in your life you've never seen before, and finally understand why you've been targeted all along. Long before your first word, before your first breath, your life was marked with a mission, and that mission is not quiet. You may see yourself as one person in an ordinary life, but in the unseen realm, your presence is not subtle. Your spirit carries a sound, like a torch in the darkest night, a light that comforts the lost yet draws the attention of forces that want to put it out. Some move through life invisible to darkness. They pose no threat, carry no light. But you are different. When you enter a room, even unknown, something shifts. Heaven notices, and so does hell. Maybe that's why your life has never been quiet. Even as a child, you sensed more, felt things others ignored. Not strange, simply tuned to a higher frequency. And in the spiritual world, that frequency is impossible to ignore. Picture standing on a cliff in total darkness. In your hand, a single lantern glows. Lost travelers see it and move toward it. But predators see it too. The same light that guides also invites attack. That's your calling. It doesn't need promotion, it simply is. The enemy responds to it, not for who you are now, but for the potential your calling carries. You might ask, why would God allow this attention? Because light was never meant to be hidden. The brighter the light, the stronger the shadow will try to cover it. This is why you faced resistance where others move easily. Doors they open with one knock may take you 10. Battles they never see end up at your doorstep. Not proof of failure, proof your life carries weight unseen. And here's the key, that sound your calling makes doesn't just alert the enemy, it draws those meant to walk with you. Your tribe, your spiritual family, your destiny connections. The enemy often attacks not to stop you directly, but to delay those connections from finding you. So guard your spiritual health. Prayer is your shield. Worship is your weapon. Obedience keeps your light burning. When pressure comes, don't assume it's because you've done wrong. It may be proof you're exactly where you're meant to be. And remember, your calling not only puts a target on you, it triggers a chain reaction. Every step toward your purpose shows the enemy what could happen at full speed. Lives changed, influence multiplied. He'll try to cut it at the root. But what God plants, hell can't uproot. It can distract, delay, choke, but it can't erase heaven's decree. So stop being surprised by the battle. Expect it. Armor up before the arrows fly. A chosen one ready for the fight is harder to take down than one caught off guard. And speaking of the fight, the next reason you're targeted is even more personal. It's not just about you. It's about the generations connected to you. You're not just living your own story. You carry the unfinished chapters of those before you. And that's one of the biggest reasons the enemy fights you so hard. Every family line has patterns. Some are blessings. Others are chains passed down like an unwanted inheritance. Cycles of fear, lack, addiction, silence when truth should be spoken. Most accept these cycles as just how it is. But every now and then, a breaker is born. Breakers are dangerous to darkness, because when they refuse to pass on the chain, it ends. Maybe that's why you've always felt different in your family. Not better, just unwilling to settle. While others accepted the dark, something in you whispered, "No, it can change." It's like being the one person in a dark hallway who flips the light on. Everyone may be used to the dark, but once the light comes, no one can unsee the truth. Your life does that. It forces truth into view. The enemy knows if he can break you, the chain survives another generation. But if you stand, everything changes for those after you. That's why your battles feel heavier than most. You're fighting wars your ancestors couldn't name, temptations they couldn't resist, not because you're cursed, but because you've been chosen to face what they couldn't. Picture a massive stone wall built over centuries. Each generation adds another layer. Then you arrive, and instead of adding bricks, you pick up a hammer. Every swing cracks the wall. Through the cracks, light seeps in, hope not just for you, but for all who come after. You might feel this calling as exhaustion, like you're always in another battle. But you're not just fighting to survive, you're fighting for freedom. And freedom costs more. Through you, blessings blocked for decades can finally flow. Prayers whispered long ago are being answered. The next generation will start higher than you did. That's why the attacks keep coming. The enemy sees the ripple effect you represent. If you stand, his grip on your bloodline weakens. So he aims to drain you before the breakthrough arrives. But here's the truth. Every time you refuse to quit, you're already winning. Even when you don't see change, the chains are weakening in the unseen realm. So guard your mind. Feed your spirit. Stay close to people who remind you of who you are, because a tired breaker is still a breaker. And the enemy's worst fear is a chosen one who refuses to give up. And now, the next reason you're targeted goes beyond bloodlines. It's about the reach of your life, even to people you've never met. Most of the time, you don't realize how far your life reaches. You think you're just trying to make it through the day. That your small acts of faith or quiet choices to stay true go unnoticed. But every decision echoes far beyond your sight. It's like dropping a pebble in a still pond. You can't control where the ripples go, but they keep moving, touching shores you'll never see. Sometimes, the enemy's attacks aren't about your present actions. They're about those watching you from a distance. A coworker who sees your peace in chaos. A neighbor who notices you keep showing up after heartbreak. A family member silently inspired by your strength. Your life is a living sermon, and sermons without words can be the most powerful. When someone survives what should have destroyed them, chooses integrity over compromise, kindness over bitterness, it plants a seed in everyone who sees it. That's you. Without trying, you're influencing more lives than you know, and influence threatens darkness, because it inspires change. And change breaks control. The enemy knows if enough people are moved by your light, if enough decide to stand because they saw you stand, he loses ground. This is why some attacks feel off, not tied to your current season. They're aimed at silencing the ripple effect before it grows. That's why you can't dismiss small moments, how you respond in traffic, how you speak to a cashier, how you handle conflict when no one important is watching. Heaven sees it, and so does hell. If you feel weary in doing good, don't stop. Sometimes your breakthrough is hidden in your consistency, not in the grand gestures, but in the steady faithfulness. And influence is not just about who sees you, it's about who feels you. There are people who feel stronger because they crossed paths with you. Some are watching how you endure this season, and when their storm comes, they'll remember your example. Influence lingers, like a fragrance after someone leaves the room. And that lingering presence is a spiritual weapon. But the enemy fears something even more. When influence and survival collide, they create unstoppable warriors. And that takes us to the next reason you've been targeted. Looking back, there are moments you shouldn't have made it through. Times when the weight was too heavy, the loss too deep, the wound too severe. Moments where logic said you'd stay down, yet somehow you got back up. Some memories still feel fresh. You recall the sound, the words that broke you, the emptiness in your chest. And yet, here you are, breathing, moving, living. That alone threatens darkness. The enemy's plan wasn't just to hurt you, it was to bury you, to silence your voice before your story could be told. But when you survive what should have destroyed you, you gain something rare. Not learned in classrooms, not bought with money, authority. The kind carried by those who've walked through fire and still stand. Picture a tree in a hurricane. Branches snap, leaves scatter, the ground shakes. But the roots go deep. When the storm passes, the tree remains, bent maybe, but unbroken. And when others see it, they know the storm can be survived. That's you. Your scars aren't weaknesses, they're proof. Proof the attack failed. Proof the pit wasn't deep enough. Proof heaven still had the final say. The enemy fears survivors, because survivors become warriors, and warriors inspire armies. Your survival is contagious. When you speak, courage awakens in those who thought they were finished. That's why he tries to keep you silent about what you've overcome. He'll whisper, "Don't talk about it. It's in the past. It's messy. Lies. Your story is the key someone is praying for. If you hide it, the chain stays unbroken. If you tell it, the lock shatters. In the spiritual realm, testimony is a weapon. It declares that what was meant for evil has been turned for good. And every time you speak it, you strike again. But here's what makes the enemy nervous. When you've survived enough, you stop fearing the fight. And a chosen one unafraid to fight is unstoppable. That's why pressure often increases right after a breakthrough. It's strategy, to stop your momentum before it becomes a charge toward destiny. But he can't erase what you've survived. If you made it through that, what could possibly stop you now? And this leads us to the fifth reason you've been targeted. The enemy knows when your season is about to shift, and he strikes hardest right before your spiritual promotion. One pattern in walking with God is this. The attacks hit hardest right before a shift in your calling. It's like the final wave before the shore. Bigger, heavier, crashing harder. Not because the ocean is angrier, but because you're almost there. In the kingdom, promotions aren't titles or applause. They're increased authority, territory, and responsibility over what God has entrusted to you. When heaven begins positioning you for promotion, the enemy senses it. Not because you announce it, but because your spirit carries a new sound. One that says, "They're ready." That's when pressure builds. Confusion suddenly rises. Solid relationships shake. Opportunities close. Your mind feels under siege, your heart heavy. This isn't coincidence, it's warfare. If he can overwhelm you here, he hopes you'll quit before the finish line. Picture an athlete in the last 100 meters of a marathon. Muscles burning, mind tempted to slow down. But the crowd is on its feet. Heaven is that crowd for you. Cheering. Don't quit now, you're closer than you think. The final stretch is never comfortable. It demands focus, endurance, and remembering why you started. If everything in your life feels like it's shaking, if attacks have been personal, intense, and relentless, it may be because you're closer to breakthrough than ever. Here's the key. Spiritual promotion is tied to obedience, not perfection. God doesn't need flawless execution. He wants a surrendered heart that says, "Yes, Lord, even now." Push through this resistance and the shift will be undeniable. Doors will open you couldn't force open. Favor will find you without knocking. The weight of your calling will feel heavier, not as a burden, but as a crown. The enemy knows once you step into that next level, you'll carry greater authority. That's why he wants you to collapse in the pressure. But if you endure, you won't just walk into the next season. You'll run armed with everything the fight has taught you. And now, the sixth and final reason you've been targeted isn't just about your present or your next step. It's about something far bigger. Hell has glimpsed your future long before you have. This is the sign most chosen ones miss, but once you see it, every battle will make sense. In the spiritual realm, hell doesn't fight you only for your past or present. It fights because of your potential, the prophecy over your life, what heaven has already written. When God speaks over someone, It's not wishful thinking. It's a decree, fixed in the spirit, waiting to manifest. The enemy can't erase it, but he can try to keep you from stepping into it. Think about Jesus. Before he performed a miracle or preached a sermon, Herod tried to kill him. Why? Because hell heard the prophecy. They knew his destiny and tried to stop it before it began. The same is true for you. Some of your battles started before you knew who you were, before you understood the gifts inside you, because the enemy sensed your future. It's like trying to burn a seed before it becomes a forest. A seed looks small, but once grown, it transforms everything around it. You are that seed. That's why some attacks felt unfair. You weren't doing wrong. You were just starting out. The attack wasn't about your now, but your next. Here's the shift. Once you realize battles are proof of your future, they stop defining you and start refining you. If the enemy fights this hard now, it's because he knows how dangerous you'll be fully walking in your purpose. He knows lives, generations, even nations are tied to your obedience. Picture a chessboard. A small move now can set up checkmate later. That's how God works. The enemy moves early, trying to disrupt the plan before you see it. But he only gets glimpses, enough to fear you, but not enough to stop heaven's decree. So when the weight feels heavier than your current position should justify, remember, you're being fought for a future you haven't seen yet. And when that truth sinks in, fear loses its grip. Every arrow, every lie, every setback becomes confirmation that your calling is greater than you imagined. Your future already written in heaven's ink. That's why you cannot quit here. Your story isn't just about surviving the present. It's about stepping boldly into the future God already sees. You didn't find this message by accident. Out of everything you could be doing right now, you're here, and that matters. Heaven has been guiding you, shaping you, preparing you for this moment. The battles you've faced, the storms you've survived, they weren't punishment, they were preparation. The 6 reasons we uncovered today are not random. They are a mirror, showing who you are and why the fight has been so intense. Your calling is loud in the spirit realm. You carry generational breakthrough. Your influence reaches beyond what you see. You've survived what should have destroyed you. You're standing at the edge of spiritual promotion. And the enemy has glimpsed your future before you have. Now that you see it, you can't unsee it. You're not just enduring life. You're shaping eternity. Not everyone will understand. But not everyone is called to walk where you walk. Chosen one. You've been trusted with more than most. And the moment you accept that, the enemy's grip begins to break. Stop questioning if you're strong enough. You've already proven it. You're still standing. That alone is proof darkness couldn't win. From now on, when resistance shows up, see it as confirmation you're on the right path. If this message spoke to your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another chosen one who needs to remember who they are. The right word at the right time can change a life. If you've made it to the end, type in the comments, "I'm still standing." It's a declaration to heaven, earth, and hell. I'm not going anywhere. And when you're done, click the message waiting for you here on the screen. It will take everything we've talked about today and show you the next step in your journey. You don't want to miss it.